Star Wars Legends. The stories that made up the backbone of the Star Wars galaxy in the 90s and 2000s were deemed to be outside of the official Star Wars canon when Disney bought Lucasfilm. Since then, elements from those well-loved books, comics, and video games have been making their way back into canon content. The recent replica journal, Tales from Vandor, written by Jason Fry, has pulled in some major fan-favorite characters from Legends, including Rendar, who I'll get to in a second. But in today's video, I'll run through all the big and small things from Legends that have been brought back thanks to the book. First, I should mention that early on, the author of this in-universe journal, the overnight bartender for Ipso Lodge nicknamed Midnight, says he can't promise that every story he's recorded is true. Some of them may not be more than tall tales. I don't think that's the case with Dash, but some of the stories told probably shouldn't be considered definitely canon. Anyway, let's start with Rendar because that's the big one. He's referenced twice as one of many rival pilots to Han that are skeptical of the course he plotted through the Kessel Run. And that's it. Basically, he doesn't believe Han deserves all the glory and says if he's around, Solo is unnecessary. That all matches up with Legends, where again the two had a mostly but not always friendly rivalry. So what does this mean for Dash in canon? Not much. This doesn't make Shadows of the Empire canon or anything, it just means there is another hotshot Corellian smuggler out there. This may be the only mention of Dash we ever get, but hey, at least he exists. I'm gonna choose to believe that he continues to fly the Outrider with Lebo as well. Next up is someone close to my heart. Midnight mentions an old labor droid that called himself Bollocks coming into the lodge telling crazy stories about how he was with Han when he blew up a corporate sector authority prison off the surface of a planet and destroyed a battalion of war droids that belonged to Zim the Despot. The droid called himself Bollocks, and he is of course retelling stories from the old Han Solo adventure books. I loved BLX-5 in those stories, and I'm thrilled that not only does he exist, but it sounds like his adventures with Han do too. Midnight doesn't quite believe the tall tales until some corporate sector big shot wound up corroborating them much later. It's pretty easy to bring all those stories into canon since they take place well outside the scope of most of the galaxy. And if Bollocks is back, I'm also going to believe in my heart that Blue Max is tucked safely inside his chestplate. Two more characters from the Han Solo adventures are also mentioned, fellow smugglers named Saniad and Trega. They were both mentioned in the story Han Solo's Revenge. In Tales from Vandor, Saniad shares Dash Rendar's skepticism about Han's Kessel Run, and Trega tells anyone that will listen that Han is lying about his backstory, that everything we saw in the movie is false. Instead, Trega believes that Han was orphaned as a baby, grew up with the Wookiees on Kashyyyk, and helped the Republic a bit during the Clone Wars. This story all comes from the unused Han Solo cameo that George Lucas was considering including in Revenge of the Sith. The relevance of the Han Solo adventures isn't all that surprising since the Lando Calrissian adventures were all brought up in Solo, a Star Wars story. Well, Lando's Legends history is brought up even more in Tales from Vandor, including his multiple run-ins with a sorcerer that could fit in the palm of your hand, which would be Rokur Gepta. Lando has also been overheard calling L337 Vuffy, which she claims is the Sokoran word for sweetheart. Vuffy Ra was the name of Lando's droid in the Lando Calrissian adventures, who has clearly been replaced by L3. A few patrons of the Lodge claim they know about Han Solo's relatives. One believes that Han was the grandson of the infamous Corellian pirate Dala Sul, which was true in Legends. Another patron believes he is a direct descendant of Jonash Solo, the ancient Prince Admiral of Corellia. According to the Courtship of Princess Leia, Han's father was named Jonash, and the Essential Guide to Warfare mentions a Corellian Prince Admiral named Jonash Solo, but it's unknown if Han had any relation to him. That's all the really big stuff, I'd say, but there are a handful of small fun Legends mentions as well, like the energy spiders of Kessel, the green natives of Memban, and a story about Lumpy, Chewie's son, sneaking into the dangerous Shadowlands of Kashyyyk to gather berries. All in all, this was a really fun little book. It's a very easy read, but has plenty of fun connections and extra insight into canon media as well as all this Legend stuff. But that's going to be it from me today. Let me know what you think of all these characters and ideas coming back from Legends. Are you excited about Dash Rendar's return to canon? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.